Come on up here and minister to us. Yeah, you. This is your time. We've set this time and the occasion aside right here.
Right here.
Here.
Why does it look like that?
You got it upside down. Here, you got it upside down. Welcome. Here we're celebrating some birthdays tonight. Brother and sister Pastor Solomon. And we're so thankful about Brother and Sister Solomon. I look at them two as two separate people. I've observed a lot from them just watching. But really, Brother Solomon, he's really close to your heart. He really takes care of his flock and everything. I know one time he's a real busy man. I know that and everything. I was coming into church one night.
Louder.
Excuse me?
Louder.
Not in my notes.
Birthday people are hard
I should
hearing.
have wrote in bold letters. Anyway, as I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, Brother Solomon is a really dear friend of mine. They're like family to me, actually. Anyway, I was coming into church and I said, Brother Solomon, I have a need. I know you're real busy and I want you to pray for it and everything. And I said, I want you to pray for my hearing. And he said, well, Brother Rufus, I'll pray for your hearing right now. He's right there. You know, he stopped what he's doing. He prayed for my hearing and everything. And then a week later, I was at the Walmart store buying some of that C-bond for my mother-in-law. You know, to hold the false teeth in. And I was coming into Walmart, and Brother Solomon was coming out of Walmart. And he said, Brother Rutherford, how's your hearing? That touched my heart. I said, Brother Solomon, I can't believe that you being a busy man stopped and asked me how I'm doing. But my hearing ain't till next week. Anyway, he's a real people eater. People eater. But one time, here a while back, I do a lot of travel and everything. And I do a lot of, going around place to place. And they never have me go back to the same place the same again, but I get to go around the first time anyway. And I was just staying in my hotel. I was in there watching TV, and I don't normally watch TV. I don't know. I got in there and the TV was on, and I didn't know how to turn it off. And the TV was on. I was like, I don't know how to turn off that new fandangled thing. And so I was watching it, and there were these people on this old wagon train. They were traveling out west, and I was watching that. I was like, man, the poor people are in them wagons bouncing around and everything. And I saw this one little family with kids in this wagon, and the kids looked so cute. And then all of a sudden, them old Indians started shooting arrows at them. And I said, oh no, don't shoot them little kids. The little kids just look so sweet. And the Indians wouldn't listen to me, and they just kept shooting at them kids and everything. And so I was getting all frustrated. So I got down on my knees into the bed, and I said, God, you got to save this family from these Indians. And as I was down there praying on by the bed, I heard the sound of the trumpet, and it was the cavalry. The cavalry came and saved them people. Thank God for cavalry. Hallelujah, I want to go there. Thank God for Calvary. But anyway, tonight there's things happening that hasn't happened and won't happen since. Ooh, my wife must have wrote that. And I'm thankful to be the center of all these people I'm in the middle of, which would be all of you. And I have a message for you tonight. There was this guy. You guys can turn your Bibles to somewhere, and I'll be there in a minute, probably. Anyway, there was this man named Noah. And Noah, God told him to go away. He said, Noah, I want you to build an ark from gopher wood. And Noah said, God, I don't understand. What in the world is gopher wood? He said, God said, quit standing around asking questions and go for what? And so he took off and he took out an axe and he's chopping the big tall cedars of Lebanon, and he was chopping them, and all of a sudden his axe head fell off and fell into the river, into the Jordan River. And he went over there and looked, and he's expecting it to sink, and it was swimming. It was a miracle. It was swimming. Honolulu. I want to go there. And the axe head was floating. And so he went over there and he got his axe, started chopping, and he built this big old boat that the Lord told him to build. And he's loaded up all the animals 2 by 2. And he said, I'm missing a billy goat. I need a billy goat right now. So he started praying, and lo and behold, God sent Shadrach, Meshach, and a billy goat. And they got on the ark. And he sent his wife up there, and he said, I want you to pray, I want you to watch out for rain. And then Noah went down to the bottom and was praying for rain, and first day went by, and she's up there on the top of the ark, and he was getting some alone time down the bottom of the ark, and he was thanking God for that too, and she was up there at the top of the ark, and she said, Noah, there's no rain. And day 2 went by, and Noah, no rain. And day 3, and whatever comes after that, and all the way up to 7, and the 7th day, she said, Noah, I see a cloud the size of a man's hand. And the rain started coming down, and the floods came up, and the rains came down, and the floods came up, and the rains came down, and the floods came up, and the rains came down, and the floods came up, and it beat upon that ark, but it fell not because it was founded on a rock. And he said, upon this rock I'll build my church, and the gates of hell's not prevail against it. And anyway, the floods came up, the rains came down, the floods came up, and the boat started floating, and it was going along on the waves and everything, and all of a sudden this big fish came up and swallowed the ark. Big whale, swallowed the ark. And he was in the belly of the whale for 3 days and 3 nights, just as the Son of Man was in the belly there for 3 days and 3 nights. So anyway, the whale got sick and spit him up on the mountains of Ararat. And he was sitting up there on the mountains of Ararat, and David came by. He was marching with his men, and he said, Behold the ark! Let's take it into the city! So they picked up the ark and they started taking it to the city, and they got to the city, and the gates were too small for the ark to fit in there. So they called Samson. Samson came along and he tore the gates off the hinges. And they got the ark into the city. And as they were taking the ark into the city, they looked up and there was that old harlot, Rahab. The old harlot, Rahab. Hope you guys are following along. I think I'm kind of lost. I'm somewhere in the Bible, though. But anyway, Rahab the harlot was sitting up on the wall. And David saw her and he said, that old sinner, throw her down. And they threw her down. He said, I said, throw her down again. So they threw her down again. They said, throw her down again. And they threw her down again. And they threw her down again and threw her down again. 70 times 7 they threw her down. Off that wall. And they started picking up the raiments that were left. And there were 12 baskets full, one for every tribe of Israel. Folks, I don't know where I'm at right now, but anyway. Anyway, I got one more thing. Now, this is something I don't normally do. You guys will see why here in a minute. Brother Solomon, he is a revivalist. He's always talking about revival. And he wants revival. And so that's what I'm going to talk about tonight in song. I want to sing about revival. Some of you have heard this before. But don't sing along because you won't know the words. So I don't want you to mess me up.
Is he talented? Yeah, he's very talented.
Revival! Revival! My heart's on fire! Revival! Well, I know that I'm on fire, and I can't tell you why, but I sure enough can let my little light shine. I always get funny feeling up and down my spine, 'cause I know that revival is mine. Oh, I'm seeing revival, revival. My heart's on fire, revival. Well, poured out, poured out, poured out, well, well, poured out, poured out, poured out, well, well. Hey, old silver, ain't away. Well, I know revival fire's burning. Our church is all aflame. Revival can sure enough make you change your game. I always get a funny feeling, always, all the time, because I know revival is my revival. My heart's on fire, revival. Oh, we've had enough of this. Poured out, poured out, poured out, wow, wow, poured out, poured out, poured out, wow, wow. Hey, old silver, and away. That's all, folks. Give it up for Brother Rutherford. Such a powerful message about the revival.
Show me her neck.
Thank God that David saw the ark.
Denise is all red for you, Shane.
Thank God that the ark was swallowed up by that big old
Denise,
fish.
it was a video.
Spewed out on that mountain. Oh man.
Yeah.
I love having a good time around the.
I think
around
Shane
the
and Wade
people
go do
of
one
the Lord.
together.
And even
Right?
it's good to have Brother and Sister Solomon's children and family here as well, celebrating this special occasion with them. But we're gonna ask you to get loosened up